Do you like superhero movies? Well, so do I. I mean, take it from me, Spider-Man. I love superhero movies. I mean, I'm a superhero myself. I get to shoot webs, climb on the walls, and fight against really big villains like Dr. Octopus and the Sandman and Kraven the Hunter. And who else do we have here? Oh yes, here's the Green Goblin. And of course we have my absolute favorite, Venom here. Norman Osborn, I hate to say it, but you've seen better days. And Eddie, get rid of that suit. It's eating you up from the inside. Anyways, yes, I'm actually here on the set of the Disneyland video series. This is absolutely a lot of fun. What can we talk about in today's video? Okay, you know what? This roleplay is ridiculous. I hope you guys enjoyed that little bit. But I'm not Spider-Man, really. I'm just kidding, you guys. It's me, Sean. Yay, my hair's a mess. Yikes. Yes, I am actually wearing a Spider-Man costume. I know, I'm an adult. I get to wear costumes. So what? I've had this for a year. I was able to squeeze into it, thankfully. And here I am. Yes, this is from the Amazing Spider-Man film. Many years ago, I used to have a Spider-Man costume. It was from the cartoon series. I think I got my first Spider-Man costume when I was like 13. And I got this like last year or something. So yeah. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about my top 5 favorite superhero films. And one of them does include a DC film. So get ready. Here they come! Now let me just point off right off the bat here that some of these films were not always Now let me just point out here that some of these films didn't do so great, but you know what? I actually enjoyed them because I thought they were fun, and please don't give me any hate for it because I enjoy certain films that people don't like, and that's for no particular reason. But anyways, let's move on to movie number 5, and that happens to be The Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. I got you guys, didn't I? So this actually is a sequel to the previous Fantastic Four film, not the new recent Fantastic Four film. I'm talking about the older version of the Fantastic Four. And the actors in this film were Ioan Gruffudd as Mr. Fantastic, Jessica Alba as Invisible Woman, Chris Evans, as we all know, as Captain America right now. He was the Human Torch. And last but not least, we have Michael Chiklis as The Thing. So obviously this takes place after their first event with Dr. Doom, who obviously has, you know, no control over whatsoever with his so-called this mutation or whatever, and everything seems nice and calm, but all of a sudden we find out there's actually somebody going around the different planets and is heading towards Earth, and that happens to be the Silver Surfer. Now the Silver Surfer was actually created by one of Marvel's big-time artists, and that guy was Jack Kirby. In fact, Jack Kirby wrote a lot of the Silver Surfer comics. In fact, that was one of his pride and joys, which was the Silver Surfer. I mean, there were others, of course, but Silver Surfer was really one of the characters that Jack Kirby came up with for Marvel. So obviously, in the pre-cinematic universe for Marvel, they were trying to expand on not only having the Fantastic Four with Dr. Doom, but they also wanted to get the Silver Surfer onto the big screen. And they kind of did that with Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. Now, I do actually own Fantastic Four, the first movie, and I must say that it actually has a little bit less action than the Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. So we're kind of getting more into more Fantastic Four combat than we did in the first Fantastic Four film, because in the first film, the group was just getting together. They fought off Dr. Doom, and in this sequel, this was really where they started showing their true might and power, and where they were able to, in a way, kind of defeat the Silver Surfer, but in the end, the Silver Surfer kind of helped them out because, well, I don't want to give anything away, but Jessica Alba had something happen to her that literally kind of almost causes the Silver Surfer to lose part of his powers in order to help her out. But still, it's a fun film. It is PG, although there are some moments in the film where it might get a little tense, and there are some kind of violent little actions here and there in the Fantastic Four film, but all in all, it's a fun film. You know, there aren't that many superhero films that Marvel has produced that are rated PG. I think it's one of maybe a couple. I mean, a lot of the Marvel films have been PG-13, and I know that Deadpool and Elektra, I think, no, not Elektra, Ghost Rider and The Punisher, those films have been rated R, but the Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer is one of the only couple of Marvel films that's rated PG, so that's pretty interesting. Alright, now on to movie number 4, which is actually getting a reboot right now. Well, it's not really a reboot, but it's more of a, I guess in a way it is a bit of a reboot. But this movie was released in 1994, 95, 96, 97, somewhere in there. But yes, believe it or not, this is one of my top 5 favorite films. And don't hate me for this, because I know this got a lot of critical remarks for how they portrayed these characters and the costumes and, shall we say, the Zords and Megazords. That's right, folks. Movie number 4 happens to be the Power Rangers movie. Before we continue on, I think there's one thing that needs to happen. It's morphin' time! Dragon Sword! Whew. I gotta tell you, it's hot in this costume. It's pretty cool though, right? Green Power Ranger. Awesome. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, that is. Of course, we don't see Jason David Frank as the Green Ranger, he's the White Ranger. But this is the costume I was able to get, but yeah. And I'm not this muscular. Sorry, ladies. So I know this movie got a lot of hate because there was a lot of things that didn't go right with the film, including the really interesting CGI Megazord. But you know what? It was kind of like a transition from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, from the Dinosaurs, to the Ninja Zords. And that's kind of what happened in the TV show. Maybe not at the same time as the movie, but it was basically saying, hey, we're moving to a different set of Zords, and it's going to be cool. But, of course, when people were saying, oh, it's the Power Rangers movie, we wanted to see the original Zords, the original Megazord, but then we find out from Zordon, oh, they're gone. They've been destroyed by Ivan Ooze. So yes, the somewhat original cast of the Power Rangers were in this film. I'll post the names down in the video right there. But these were the characters that were involved in the film. I wish it was actually the original Power Rangers from when the TV series first started. But you know what? It's okay. But to be honest with you, it had a really interesting story transitioning from Dinozords to the Ninja Zords and eventually to the very interesting Ninja Zord, or Megazord I should say. But still, the plot, yeah, it did have some little loopholes here and there, but it was actually very fun and, in a way, an interesting attempt at making a Power Rangers film. And yes, I do know for a fact that they are making another Power Rangers film. And I already saw the teaser trailer for it, and I have to say, it looks pretty awesome. And I'm looking forward to it. And I don't think it's going to be, you know, coming close to what the original was, but still, it's going to be a reboot of the Power Rangers series, and I am looking forward to it. The fighting sequences, by the way, are actually pretty cool, a lot of fun, even when they're not in costume. We did see them in their original costumes, but with armor. They weren't in the latex, and they didn't have muscles. So, yeah, it was still a lot of fun. You have to admit the fighting sequences were cool, even though some of them were a little exaggerated, but still, we got to see some Power Ranger fights. Maybe not a lot, but still pretty cool. Alright, now let's move on to movie number 3, and in order for me to do that, I need to demorph and return back into the Spider-Man costume, so 1 second. Alright, let's move on from Power Rangers to another Marvel film that's one of my absolute favorites. In fact, I saw this movie right after my graduation at my community college, and that movie in the number 3 category is The Avengers. I remember the huge hype that everybody had for this movie. It was one of the biggest films to be released the year that it was released, and let me just say, there were a bunch of people that were wearing costumes, a lot of people that were wearing shirts that had the Avengers, a lot of people that were reading a bunch of Avengers comics. It was a huge phenomenon, and you know what? The publicity this got was unbelievable. So much merchandise was made for the Avengers, and let me just say that by far it is one of the best Marvel films that I've seen in so many years. Yeah, I would have to say that Civil War is pretty good too, but the Avengers, yeah, it's one of the best films that Marvel has released. It was actually under Paramount, but right now we have Marvel Studios. So let's do a little quick roll call as to which characters were in this film. First off, we have the first Avenger himself, Captain America. We have also the Invincible Iron Man. I better separate those two because they obviously have still some issues, if you know what I mean. We also have the God of Thunder himself here, Thor. And next up we have the Incredible Hulk, although they don't really call him the Incredible Hulk. They just call him Hulk. Although, the latest film from Hulk was called The Incredible Hulk, so go figure. Next up, we have Hawkeye. Yes, Hawkeye right here. Everybody was all excited about this one. Black Widow. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson. So believe it or not, only 3 of the original Avengers characters were actually in the Avengers movie. Who were they? Well, they happened to be Thor, Hulk, and Iron Man. Of course, Iron Man back then looked so different. That's right, Captain America didn't come until issue 4 or 5 in the Avengers series. The other 2 Avengers that were on the original team for the very first issue of the Avengers were Ant-Man, who's right here, who we've already seen in Civil War, and the Wasp, who right now in the cinematic universe is going to be featured in Avengers Infinity War. Yeah, that's going to be kind of fun, right? To see the Wasp in action. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be saying, Sean, we weren't really supposed to see the original Avengers in this movie anyway. I get that, because we already saw Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, and a little bit of Black Widow and Hawkeye here and there. But you know what? It's okay, because we started off with those movies, and then we led up to the Avengers. Unfortunately, Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be coming later on in Infinity War. And you know what? That's fine, obviously, because the cinematic universe is a totally different universe than the comic book universe, as we can obviously see, and even the cartoon universe, because the cartoon universe sometimes doesn't go parallel with the cinematic universe or the comic book universe. But by the way, just to let you guys know, I just heard somewhere that we may actually see some of the Netflix characters actually appear in the Avengers film, the new one, that is, the Infinity Wars. I'm praying to God that we see Daredevil, because obviously Daredevil, in my opinion, should be Infinity Wars. He should be somewhere in the cinematic universe, because he's one of Spider-Man's pals. I don't even know, was Daredevil in the Avengers at all? I think he was for maybe a few issues. I don't actually know exactly. If you guys are big comic book nerds, let me know in the comments section down below. Now, as far as I can remember, I believe this was the very first Marvel film that I ever saw in my entire life. Yes, I saw cartoons, but I'm talking about movies. And this movie had a big impact on my life in terms of what I want to do in the industry, and that movie was Spider-Man. Not the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. I'm talking about the very first Spider-Man film with Tobey Maguire. That film, by far, was one of the best Marvel films at that time for the cinematic universe. It was unbelievable. Before that, though, before Spider-Man came along, we had Blade. And I saw Blade, like, last year. Oy. That was interesting. Now, of course, back then the technology wasn't as good, but to be honest with you, even when the technology wasn't as good, they really were able to do a lot of really cool shots with the aerial shots and the close-ups and practical effects. I mean, not so much CGI, but still, even with as little special effects that they used in this film, it was an unbelievable film. It was such a big hit, and I remember that they were filming some of it in, I believe it was in Linwood, because there's a studio out there, and unfortunately somebody actually died during the production of Spider-Man. It was like one of the biggest grossing films for Marvel at that time, and it had been such a long time since we saw Spider-Man on the small screen, which was television, when we saw when you had the cartoon series out there on television, and they actually came up with a somewhat live version of Spider-Man, but it didn't really portray Spider-Man as he is in the comics, although it was somewhat successful, but not really in some ways. But literally, when fans saw Spider-Man on the big screen for the very first time, they freaked out. It was unbelievable. And I have all three Spider-Man films. I think I have all the Spider-Man films that have been released ever. And yes, we actually got a sequel, Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock. And then the third film, he fought not one, not two, but three different villains. Maybe four, because he kind of fought himself a little bit in a way, because he had the black suit. Yeah, he kind of turned himself into a villain, so he's kind of fighting himself in a way. But the other three villains included the Sandman, the Green Goblin, although we must say that there was a little bit of a budget cut on his part, and the third, and I thought one of the coolest villains to ever appear on the Spider-Man Cinematic Universe, that was Venom. Yes, his suit was a little bit altered in some way. It kind of resembled the Spider-Man suit, but you know what? It actually kind of fit, because, you know, Venom is supposed to be an evil version of Spider-Man. So it kind of fits that he has a similar suit to Spider-Man, but, you know, still, the webbing on the suit, though, was kind of strange. But you know what? It was still really cool to see Venom, and I was so hoping to see Venom on the big screen. And there are rumors that there may be a Venom movie coming out soon, and even a Sinister Six film. That of course, the rumors have been flying around ever since the Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, when they showed the different suits from the different characters like Vulture and Doc Ock. And there's also talks of the Shocker being in this new Homecoming movie for Spider-Man. Spider-Man #1 was my second favorite superhero film of all time, and now it is time to unveil my #1 favorite superhero film. Now, unfortunately, this is a DC movie, and it's not Dawn of Justice, unfortunately. That's Batman vs. Superman. No, it's not Man of Steel. No, it's not Superman. And it's not The Flash. I mean, that's TV, but we're talking about films. I'm actually talking about another... excuse me, I'm getting choked up about this. Batman. The 1960s Batman film. And I remember watching that on television many years ago, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This is one of the most awesome films ever to be released, not just during the 60s, but ever, because yes, it is a little quirky in some areas, but it's still a fun film. I actually had the opportunity to meet the cast of Batman. Well, a few of them, not all of them, 3 of them actually. And let me just say that my my nerdy soul was like, gah. So I actually got to meet Adam West, that's Bruce Wayne Batman, Burt Ward, Dick Grayson, Robin, and the original Catwoman, Julie Newmar, Catwoman. They actually made a cartoon recently that I don't think is released just yet, but it will be soon. Return of the Cape Crusaders, I think that's what it's called. I'm really looking forward to that one. That looks like an awesome film. In my opinion, it will be like a sequel to the original 1960s film. And believe it or not, you ready for this? If you guys love the Batmobiles, guess what? The 1960s Batmobile is so awesome. In fact, believe it or not, yes, this is 100% true. I will post pictures in this video. I actually got to sit in the seat that Burt Ward sat in the Batmobile, in the 1960s Batmobile. It was a phenomenal experience. I even got to ride in it because I was actually dressed as Robin. Not for a photo shoot or anything, just as a costume, basically. They were taking this car back into the studio, which is the George Barris Custom Cars Studio, which is where George Barris, who unfortunately, I'm sad to say, passed away a couple of years ago. If you don't know who George Barris is, he built so many classic cars that were used in so many different films. It's unbelievable. He built the DeLorean for Back to the Future. He built the Fast and the Furious cars. He built the Flintstones car. He built the Knight Rider car, the Starsky and Hutch car, the Munster coach, the Monkeys coach. So many amazing vehicles that you've seen on the big screen. He actually built a bunch of the Batmobiles that are used in the movies. And it's just unbelievable. And to actually ride in the Batmobile was such a huge, huge honor because not many people get to sit in that seat. And of course, we can't forget about the villains in this film. My gosh, there were so many great actors for this movie. Burgess Meredith as the Penguin. Julie Newmar, unfortunately, was not able to film Batman because she was off filming some other film. So they had Miss America Lee Merriweather as Catwoman. That was a pretty cool idea. Then, of course, we have Frank Gorshin as the Riddler. I mean, that laugh is unbelievable. And then Cesar Romero as the one and only Joker. Yes, Heath Ledger is, of course, a good Joker, too, but no one can compare to Cesar Romero. He is absolutely hilarious as the Joker. And, of course, he never shaved off his mustache, so when they put the makeup on his face, it covered up his mustache. Because they never wanted to shave it off. It was so hilarious. And, of course, the Commissioner and the Chief O'Hara characters and Alfred. Oh, man. If you guys have never seen this film, it will literally just blow your mind. It is so funny. And yes, some of the sets may look like they're old and cheap. You know what? That was the budget they had back then. But even then, it looked so fun and cool. And it looked like it was something out of a comic book series. Literally. I mean, it was a good film. It's an awesome film. Oh yes, I even got to see the Bat Cycle at the Reagan Library when they actually had this really cool exhibit for cars. They had not just the Tim Burton Batmobile, but also the Bat Cycle. That was a big surprise to me because I never even thought that they were going to have this Bat Cycle. It was like, what? What is this doing here? So yes, I've not only seen the original Batmobile, but I've also seen the original Bat Cycle. I don't know exactly where the Batcopter is. God only knows where that is, and even the Batboat too, but seeing the Bat Cycle was just as cool as seeing the original 1960s Batmobile, but it was still fun. In fact, I remember hearing stories from Burt Ward saying that when he was in the little side vehicle that's against the Bat Cycle, when they would project his car out from the cycle, it would go in all sorts of directions, and not straight. It was just, he said he got caught in some thorns and bushes. He almost got hit by cars. Oh man, Batman 1960s was a phenomenal film, and again, if you guys have not seen it, go and check it out. It's a must-watch. Well, there you go, you guys. That's my top 5 favorite superhero films. What are your top 5 favorite films? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you guys have seen these films, what did you think of them? And, give me your honest opinion. Alright, folks, that is it for today's episode of the Disneyland video series. Well, technically, this is Disneyland at Home. If you like this video, please be sure to give this a thumbs up, favorite the video, share your friends, and, of course, subscribe to my channel. Wait a minute, hold on, here it is. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, the Disneyland video series. It's greatly appreciated. Don't forget to check out my previous episodes of Mealtime at Disneyland, my vlogs, my ride reviews, my special events, my previous Disneyland at Home series, and my brand new series, The Shops of Disneyland. Again, it's greatly appreciated. Now, you guys will excuse me. I gotta go and stop crime in New York City. And let me just leave you one last note. with great power comes great responsibility. Yeah. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope your day was a magical one. Bye! Excelsior!